Invictus my kings, welcome back to the Slamicus Maximus channel, and welcome back to Total Full of the Samurai United Kingdom campaign slash playthrough slash whatever you want to call it. And we are just about to initiate the massive, truly massive invasion of Kyushu Island that we've been staging for quite a while now. And yeah, there we go. We have now crossed over to Kyushu Island, and we are also about to start the siege of Awaji, which hopefully turns out well for us. We can just auto-resolve this assault. We lost a couple of units, but that's completely fine. We will just replenish through the recruitment here in Harima. Let's recruit some more units, and let's begin the conquest, the absolute stompage that's about to happen here on Kyushu Island. However, cannot be stopped, will not be stopped. They do not even offer any money for the peace treaty. They truly do not wish to preserve themselves. Let's click through all these events, and let's start the siege of Busan. Just as in the Portuguese campaign, we went from Kyushu to Honshu Island. Now we are making our way from Honshu to Kyushu Island. We're about to completely and absolutely dominate these fellas. We lost 97 units in that one. Peacefully occupy. General increases in rank. Let's rebuild the fortress, which was absolutely hammered. But let's... yeah, campaign map, line of sight, sure, even though our line of sight is completely fine, I would say. Now, how do we advance? We should probably try and first go for Fukuoka. We see a military advisor from the Netherlands. Now, we haven't seen any agents at all, basically, this entire campaign, so this is something new. So let's send 2 armies towards Fukuoka in the province of Tsukushi. And in the army that just captured Busan can make its way towards Bungo, and that's going to do us relatively well, I assume. I have all the generals that I need in those armies. Let's start building up some provinces. Let's build a railway company, sure, why not? It's a worthy investment, I suppose. And so we captured Awaji. Not that we're gonna do anything too much with this advance just yet. Not until I build up a little more of a strong and build up a little bit more of a strong presence. But these armies then can march southwards, and they are going for the city of Bungo, whereas these fellas are going for the city of Tsukushi. As you can see, they have some sort of an ally, but it doesn't matter, we will crush them anyway. No one enters, no one leaves, indeed, bam. Close victory, apparently, very interesting. But we can just replenish. We have some conscript infantry, actually. That's a surprise. We might want to get some conscript infantry, but before that, I think I will recruit a couple more of these colonial foot infantries. And next turn we'll go over for the city of Bungo, and I think I will leave the Netherlands as the last piece of the pie that I will take when I completely unite Kyushu Island under the British flag, under the flag of the Union Jack, more rather, is going to fly over the entirety of Kyushu. But first we must take out all these random declare war. And again, they have some sort of an ally, doesn't matter to us, we will just go after them as well. We are now at war with basically the entirety of Kyushu Island except for the Netherlands. We're still at peace with the Netherlands. It's completely fine. We'll just march forward and capture everything as we please, and that's going to do us very good. These forces can start making their way towards Tsukushi. Why does it only select one when I tell it to select all of them? I don't know. It's a little bit of a strange glitch, I think. The Satchel Alliance is asking us for peace. No cigar, though. No peace. No remorse. Nothing like that. Just conquest. Just colonization. Just the swift blade that is going to come for them. Trade agreement broken, trade agreement broken. Lots of trade agreements are being broken with us, but that doesn't matter. What could be actually happening is that the Prussians or the... Is that the Northern Alliance? Yeah, the Northern Alliance, the Prussians, the United States, all having a grand field day here in the north. The French have captured their own little side of the Japanese Isles, but the Northern Alliance, the Prussians, the United States, lots of people here. The center still remains uncolonized, so to say, but I'm sure eventually someone will get around to doing that, but that's not within the scope of this campaign for us. For us, we want to capture Kyushu Island, we want to capture the western part of Honshu, which we managed, and yeah, that's going to be that. This army still replenishing, so let's not make our way down to Higo, which is controlled by Kumamoto just yet. Let's not do that just yet. Proofing house or silver vault? What does the proofing house do? Silver. That makes a little bit more money. Let's go for a silver vault. So let's not enrage the populace even more. Even though, as I said multiple times when the playthrough of this with this mod, the mounting unrest and revolts and everything like that is truly broken. It's a little bit of a shame that it's so broken, because it would have been a really fun mod otherwise, but it's just not working properly. See, I select all of them, and then for some reason it defaults to just selecting one unit, which is quite a big shame, to be sure. But not this army. This army, there we go. Only two. Okay, I sort of miscounted. Then it doesn't say how many units you have selected here in the menu here in Shogun 2 Fall of the Samurai, which is kind of interesting, but a little bit of a shame. But we will make our way against Edge Alliance, asking for peace, but we are not gonna give any quarter, no peace. The tsunami, the tidal wave of the redcoats is coming straight for their throat. They will get it, man. They will get the summer. It's no summer, plus 5% to unit replenishment. Very nice. These armies can make their way south. Start making their way south towards Hyuga, and we will capture Hyuga very shortly. Let's build a fishing wharf here again. And these armies can now start making their way towards Higo. It's gonna be quite the adventure, that's for sure. A fencing house, sure, why not? I think the fencing house and those types of buildings is where you get the conscripted infantry from, but I don't think they're really worth it. I don't think the conscripted infantry is necessarily worth it at all. Lots of people asking us for peace, but that's not happening at all. We will simply march in and take what we wish to take, because we are British, and that's what British people do. Rangaku, I regret to inform you, my lord, that your fellow daimyo think very little of your open tolerance towards Western learning. Well, we are Western. Minus 50 to diplomatic relations. Well, that's, well, I don't care what they think. They haven't asked me, and I don't care. So that's all I'll say for that. Quick save. They actually have some Armstrong guns. Very interesting. I do not wish to fight Armstrong guns, so let's peacefully occupy. Auto-resolve, peacefully occupy. Another, let's steel mill. Another faction falls before us. And it looks like the Netherlands have declared war on me. Very sad that they decided to do something like that. But, well, we have armies in the general area, so it's completely fine. Looks like we'll go after the Netherlands as well. Just because they decided to declare war on us doesn't mean that we'll just roll over and get smushed at all. They have a little bit of an army, probably going for Tsukushi, so that's completely fine. That's completely fine for us. We'll just march with our units up north and meet them head on the field of battle. this bread. They will probably go and capture Tsukushi, and then we will pounce on them and capture them. So let's stop building the fencing house here and stop building the fishing wharf here. Instead, let's invest in a commercial farm here and a district. That's going to be much better, way out of danger. And we are making our way towards Hyuga as well. But the Netherlands, oh, they didn't actually peace treaty. No, I don't think so. But the Netherlands didn't actually go and capture any settlement at all, which is quite surprising. However, they did bombard the city of Higa, which is quite interesting. But we might actually be able to get a field battle out of this if we just march close enough. Let's get a field battle. Yes, some Luxembourg infantry, some Limburg infantry, colonial saber cavalry, East Indies infantry. Let's quick save and let's have a good old battle. Alright, here we are on the battlefield, and let's set up in a line like so, send a general to the back. We only have infantry, and our reinforcing army is also going to be pure infantry. They are reinforcing us from the back over here. Let's see if the enemy is coming, marching towards us. Yes, let's look at their units. The Limburg infantry looking very cool, very Napoleonic. Same with the East Indies infantry, looking absolutely wonderful. The Grenadiers looking very Napoleonic, very cool. And about the Marines looking absolutely awesome. They have some really cool looking units, these Netherlands. I can't wait to play as them. At some point I will get around to it, I'm sure. Now let's send these units over like so, over to this flank, so we have a nice flanking ability against the enemy. Let's send a general to the back again. No reason why the generals should get involved, even though they look absolutely swimmingly. There's absolutely no reason why they should get involved in the combat. And let's set Neil fire and fire by rank for our units. Since the enemy is deciding to come towards us themselves, there's no reason for us to move. We have a little bit of a slope here, but it doesn't matter. It's not necessarily going to play to our advantage, but it's going to be a little bit more interesting. What is going to be quite a little bit of a headache maybe are the enemy dragoons over here. But it seems like they're melee cavalry, not necessarily ranged cavalry. So, and they have some lancers looking very Polish. Lancers, colonial saber cavalry. They have some really nice looking infantry though. These East Indies infantry looking very cool. Love their hats. It's probably their version of the colonial foot that we have, which has mustered already over here, and will so we'll have some nice and little nice crossfire over here. If any of the enemy decides to come into this point, they're gonna get absolutely dismantled, absolutely destroyed. But let's wait for the enemy to set up, and maybe they are actually waiting for us to march forward. Maybe they have set up on the hill for a little bit of a strategic advantage. Well, let's see. I'm gonna speed it up, and we'll wait for the enemy to finish their moves in a gentlemanly manner. Of course, we'll let them set up, but no, they're actually advancing forward. So in Shogun 2 Total War, the AI always sets up their army in the average position of where you have the most units, and they decided to march straight into the firing line of our enemy. They have their colonial saber cavalry getting absolutely hammered. They will probably make it to our line, but with very diminished, they're wavering. Made it to our line, but with very diminished results. But now their infantry has actually managed to come forward, so we'll use our infantry to outflank them, and that's going to be that's going to produce some good results. Let's send up our main line forward. Apparently our general is under attack. I don't really see how that's possible, but let's send him to the back anyway. Let's send our generals to the back. Here we are on the flank. They have some East Indies infantry and they are already getting hammered by our colonial foot infantry. But it's going to be interesting. We are running straight into colonial saber cavalry, so we might be prudent to actually form a bunch of squares over here. Let's form squares so that we prevent them from dealing too much damage to us. We don't want completely devastated line, obviously, but they have managed to smash into our squares. These squares don't need to be formed anymore, they can just form a normal line. They managed to crash into our colonial foot infantry, but their cavalry charge hasn't produced the effect that they probably wanted. It really isn't that effective. Here actually there's a little bit of a fight between the lancers and our colonial foot infantry. Let's see the action. Oh, our guy got murked. Very sad to see, but their units in general are not in the best position. Let's use this opportunity to go for a cheeky little charge. And they have some Donker Curtis. Oh, that's the General's Bodyguard. Okay, I was wondering what kind of unit that was. But no, it's just a General's Bodyguard. Just a General's Bodyguard, nothing to worry about. We will kill their general as well. Why not? While we're at it, let's do some morale damage to their units. As you see on the flank, we have completely dismantled the enemy. Let's go for a good old Empire/Napoleon Total War style envelopment here. Let's completely surround these fools. They really do not know what they're doing. Very unfortunate to see. It's cool that we had a little bit of a European battle, though. These are always the most exciting part of this mod. When you come up against other powers that are using a similar level of technology to you, better than constantly fighting the same old samurai, which gets old very quickly. Even though in Fall of the Samurai base game, what is, I think, kind of sad is that there's very little unit variety. All the units are essentially the same, so it's nice to see that in this mod we see a lot of unit variety between the colonial powers, between the European powers. There's a lot of well, in today's Total War era, it's called unit diversity for some reason, but unit variety will suffice, I think. And there we go. We have managed to rout all of them. I don't see any Dutch units anywhere, so this should be a victory. Yes, indeed it is. There we go. We lost 415 and we killed basically almost their entire army, except for one guy. One guy remains, but that doesn't matter. We killed him anyway. And let's continue our march towards Hizen. We will capture all enemies that think that they are smarter than us, and the Dutch definitely thought that they had us outmaneuvered. I think I'm not entirely sure for what reason they thought something like that, but there we go. We make our march through Kyushu even further. We are about to go up against the Sacho Alliance once more, but yeah. Okay, apparently one rebellion popped. There we go. Let's go deal with it. But this army can make its way towards Hizen, and oh, there's actually a little bit of a presence here. So let's retreat and let's wait for our armies to group together. Let's first deal with this Japanese rebellion, and then let's go forward. However, these units can continue marching. They can continue marching southwards towards the Sacho Alliance territories of Osumi and Satsuma, and then they will probably sweep north towards the city of Yatsushiro, which is controlled by the clan of Kumamoto. But first, our good General Thorn Hector over here is gonna have to deal with this little Japanese rebellion, which is a rare sight to see. The Netherlands probably start over here in Higo or someplace like that for there to be a rebellion in the province. Apparently only the homelands of the individual European nations. Peace Treaty for Kumamoto, don't really think so. Apparently only the home regions of the individual colonial regions get rebellions, which is quite interesting. And even then we are gonna manage to completely crush the rebellion. There was no need for me to ship my army back. So the garrison troops were just good enough to deal with the rebellion, which is nice to see. But anyway, let's exempt them from taxation so they do not rebel again. And now let's move these armies a little closer together in case the enemy... Actually, let's go back to our territory with this army so to replenish at least a little bit. And yeah, that should be fine. That should be fine. Apparently they bombarded one of our... No, here. I think they bombarded one of our provinces, but I'm not entirely sure. Maybe they missed. Now that's kind of funny. They go all the way out here to bombard our provinces and then they miss. That's not necessarily the best look for the Netherlands, that's for sure. But our southern armies are making their advance. Very cool. Again, their fleet is trying to bombard our stuff. Their fleets are making moves, that's for sure. But will it be enough? Who knows? They are more of a naval power, it seems, than land power. The Netherlands are. They do not have a lot of armies, but they have a lot of fleets dotted around, which quite interesting to see. But anyway, let's make our way towards Hizen now. Oh, they have some reinforcing. They have a reinforcing army ready to strike at us, so we might get actually 2 battles in this episode. Now, wouldn't that be cool? Let's quick save and let's actually wait for them to attack us, so we get another battle out of that. That would be very cool. And these southern armies can start making their way towards what's the name? Osumi. Towards Osumi. And yeah, basically that's that. And we'll see if whether the Netherlands decide to counterattack against us or not. But before that, obviously, we need to have a little bit of naval action from them. It just wouldn't be cool otherwise, you know. It just wouldn't really be satisfying for them. But there we go. They're attacking us. Oh, they have a lot of armies, so this is going to be a huge battle. Alright, here we are on the battlefield. We have a little bit of a hilltop over here, so we should try and make use of it as much as possible. So let's set up like so, and unfortunately our allied army is coming from way over here, which is going to be mighty unfortunate. So we should actually instead try and run towards them as much as possible, as much as we can, so that we have a united front against the enemy. Let's try and get towards them as quickly as possible. It's going to be a little bit of a strange situation, to be sure. But their armies are reinforcing them. Our army is reinforcing us. It's going to be a massive battle, this one. The enemy is shifting their units already. They have some armed citizenry, not going to be a bother at all. But their armed citizenry looks actually a little bit different. That looks very European, very cool looking, that's for sure, and sort of stylish. Not saying that obviously not saying that the armed citizenry or the units of the traditional Japanese armies don't look cool or stylish or anything of the sort. It's just that it's sort of very different looking at these European armies. You can see it going to be a massive field battle. The enemies joining up their forces. We're gonna be joining up our forces, and this time the zoom out feature really helps quite a bit. But we are going to be probably able to snatch up these armed citizenry from the back of their line, or maybe hopefully. Well, actually, I'll skip over to when we see some action. Here we go. The enemy has finally set up their armies, and they are making their way towards our lines. They have many more units than we do. Let's take a look at these Luxembourg infantry, by the way. Luxembourg infantry, very cool looking, very Napoleonic. In general, these These Netherlands troops, they look very Napoleonic, very cool. I'm not entirely sure if that's just in general how their infantry used to look back in the day, back in like the 1860s, so to say. Their levy infantry looks a little bit different than the levy infantry we're used to seeing. Some mixed European and Japanese units over here, Japanese people. Very funny looking hacks, to be sure. But okay, so the enemy's still advancing very slowly, edging forward. It's not like they're doing a massive charge. This is going to be a very straight up European style flanker. Now that's an interesting name. It's an interesting name for a unit, but this is going to be a straight up, very European style field battle. Very cool. Very cool. We get to see something like this. It's one of the beautiful things about this mod, that you get to see these line battles, and my units are very well experienced. They are not necessarily fully replenished, all of them. This unit, for example, only has 65 units, so definitely we have some weak spots, but we are in a very good defensive position. Kneel fire and ranked fire is enabled for all of them. And here we go. The enemy is about to make it into the range of our units. Their general's bodyguard, actually, their general bodyguard and the colonial saber cavalry is about to get absolutely hammered by us. We have a very advantageous position, so to say. Making a very strange run for it, and they got hammered. They have some carabiniers, actually, so they do have some ranged cavalry, but it's getting absolutely obliterated by our lines. And they do have some Jaegers, which probably should have longer range than their standard, which is light infantry, obviously, so they should have a little bit more of a increased range compared to regular infantry. But let's see if it actually helps them. So far they haven't it's not like they're escaping the damage too much. They are getting absolutely obliterated. But here we go. On the flanks, we see some more cavalry making its way towards us. The colonial saber cavalry has definitely seen better days. Their general's bodyguard has seen better days, but they're making a charge for it. So let's form squares over here on this flank, and let's see what they do. Probably going to run into those squares again if I'd had to guess. But over on this flank, the enemy is slowly edging its way for the East Indies infantry, not running for it at all. They are making a little bit of a chaotic attack. The levy infantry is definitely getting hammered. But over here, colonial saber cavalry making its way a little bit behind our units. Their general has fallen, apparently. So we'll see how things go. It's very possible that we actually could lose this battle just looking at the numerical superiority that the enemy has. But for some reason they're setting up in a very very strange way, to be sure. They aren't making well, they aren't. Oh, there we go. They actually tried to make an attack against our let's see if they pull out their revolvers. Yep, there we go. Bam! Finishing the last of them. Only two only 2 units of their general's bodyguard left. So let's make the most of it. And these 2 units, which are not currently fighting for the cavalry, they can move back out of square formation. The center, oh wow, their center has completely fallen apart. All of their marines are running away. Their marines, colonial infantry, actually this is their colonial infantry. Very interesting. So they do have actual colonial infantry themselves. It's not just us, but this unit of ours getting absolutely hammered. The guys who had only 65 units at the beginning of the fight now down to 29, absolutely getting obliterated. This is a bloody battle, and a massive battle, to be sure. And flankers coming in, charging our lines with a lot of gusto, but now we can actually start outflanking their units, but it seems it's not going to be even necessary. Some of our units are taking serious heavy damage over here, but the flag is still flying, the standard never comes down, the British troops, the redcoats, keeping the morale going. And why are these guys turned around? I didn't order you to turn around. What the hell is this? Okay, that's a little strange. Okay, that's a little weird. Maybe they're a little too enthusiastic to show how little we think of their how little we think of them. A little too enthusiastic, I would say, to showcase your butt to the enemy. But it's down to the right flank, or our right flank, to be sure. The enemy has lost everywhere else. We have completely dismantled their center. Their numerical superiority counted for nothing. They still have some armed citizenry over here. Came back from routing apparently, but their numerical superiority didn't count for anything. They're getting absolutely hammered over here. The rank fire ability plus Neil fire completely crushes them, and they still have one last general bodyguard unit. They're making their way, charging our infantry. Very brave of them, but very foolish as well. And we have now, with that, we have seen off all of them. I think that was the last unit, their last general bodyguard unit, making a charge, a last charge, and it is a victory, and a bloody one at that. Wow, okay, so we lost 405 and we killed 4,844. An absolutely devastating blow to the Netherlands. Getting absolutely hammered over here. Let's peacefully occupy. Heathen is now ours. And these guys asking for peace treaty. Not gonna happen. But anyway, Kings, I think this is where I'll leave it off for this part. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you next time.